Good
Good morning.
You're learning Mishna Nazir, Perek Gimel, Chapter 3, Mishna Nazir, Mishna 7. Mi shahayu sheikite edem me'idasaisai. Someone had two pairs of witnesses testifying about him. Two different pairs of witnesses. Eilu me'idu shenazar shtayim. One group were testifying that he took upon himself 2 terms of Naziris. The Eilu Me'idim, and the other group testifies, Shanazar Chamesh, that he accepted upon himself 5 terms of Naziris. So that's their argument. The two groups of witnesses are differing as to how many terms of Naziris did this person take upon himself. And what did the person say? What did the person say? They're saying 2, one says 2, one says 5. What is he saying? He's saying, I didn't do anything. I didn't take upon myself anything, because that's the whole. That's the whole point. The point is, how do we treat these witnesses that are essentially contradicting each other? Their actual testimony is overlapping because 2 is included in 5, but in essence they're contradicting each other because one group says he said one thing, another group said another thing, and actually. And when each one says that he, made this vow, they have to be saying that each one is saying it that when he made his vow at 2:00 in the afternoon. What they both agreed to the time that we're talking about, the time frame that we're talking about. There's one says at 2:00 he said 2 terms. The other one says at 2:00 he said 5 terms, because if one pair of witnesses would have said he said 2 at 12 p.m. and the other ones would have said he said 5 at 4 p.m., there'd be no contradiction. You know how many terms of Naziris you'd have to keep?
None.
A lot.
A lot.
Because they're not contradicting each other. One saying he said this at this time, one group witnesses saying he said it at a different time. There's no contradiction. Each pair of witnesses is testifying about him. At this time he said this, and at that time he said that. No contradiction. He'd have to keep it all. But here in this case, they're saying that each one is saying that he said something different, and they're both saying that it would happen at the same time. That's why it's a contradiction. So Beis Shammai say nechla kohaedus, which translated means the testimony is divided, which means both testimonies are tossed out. They are contradicting each other, and therefore they are both not accepted. You're left with no testimony, and with his denial about taking upon himself any Naziris, so there's no Naziris. Nechla kohaedus, the testimony is divided, vein ka Naziris, and there is no Naziris. Beis Hillel say, Yesh b'chal chamesh tayim. Included in 5 is 2. Included in 5 terms is 2 terms. Sheyehei dozer shtayim, therefore he is going to be a nazir for 2 terms. So although essentially they're contradicting each other in the fact that, one says he said this, one says he said that, but being that the actual testimony overlaps, at least regarding 2 terms, right? When he says 2, he says 5. They're agreeing that there were 2. The testimony agrees that there are at least 2. That's why they agree that there were at least 2. Meaning that their testimonies include would say that at least 2 he has to keep. Therefore, according to Beis Hillel, that much of testimony does remain, and therefore he will have to keep 2 terms of Naziris. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi. Is this one?